Hello, everyone. I'm Stephanie Boozer with CUGC HQ, and I'm happy to welcome you to a kind of a different webinar that we have today. It's all about blogging, and we're going to talk to some rockstar bloggers that we have with CUGC, and they're out in the, elsewhere in the tech community as well, and get their tips and advice and kind of, just their insights on why blogging is important and ways that you can keep yourself motivated and make sure you actually turn your ideas into actual blog posts. Always a good thing. But before I introduce everyone, I just want to thank our CUGC Women in Tech sponsors. We are gearing up for another year of great women in tech content, and like this webinar, we're going to have a couple more sessions on a similar theme. But what makes it possible is support from our sponsors. So as you can see, we have Citrix, CUGC Control Up, Google Chrome Enterprise, iGel, Liquidware just joined, and Rima 3. So thank you to those guys. They make everything that we do possible. Also, just FYI, our Women in Tech application is open for the mentoring program for the class of 2022 to 2023. So you can zoom in on that QR code right there, and it'll take you straight to the application. Share it with your friends. Just share it everywhere. We're happy to get in as many applicants as we can and help as many women out there tackle their professional and technical goals. So do share that. The deadline is September 30 for that. All right, so let's introduce everyone that I have with us today, our master bloggers. So we have Esther Barthel. She is a CTP and solutions architect. Hello, Esther.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here again.
Also have Ray Davis. Ray is a big blogger for CUGC. I don't know if you've been out to the CUGC blogs. I can throw a link in the chat in a little bit, but he is a very prolific blogger. Hey, Ray, thanks for joining us today. Can we hear Ray? No, he might not be able to hear us yet. He was having some camera issues a second ago. We also have Jo Harder. She is also a CTP and a technical marketing and cloud consultant. Hi, Jo.
Hello, everyone.
And we have Theresa Miller, also a CTP, and she is the Director of Technology Advocacy Group. Hi, Theresa.
Hi, so glad to be here.
All right, so let me just do a quick check on Ray. Ray, can you hear us okay?
I can now, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yay!
It's alive! It's alive! Woohoo! We are safe.
All right, so this is a pretty short panel discussion today. We're trying to take up about 30 minutes of your time. So I'm going to kick us off. I think I'm going to hand it to Jo. Jo came up with some reasons why blogging is important. So Jo, if you want to talk about this to get us started, and then we can dive into the questions that we have in each of your takes on those.
Sure. So I wanted to step back and discuss why is blogging important. The number one issue that we see with our mentees is that they need a little bit more confidence in order to take that next step, whether it's ask for a promotion, ask for a special project, really step up. And I found that when any of the mentees start blogging, it improves their confidence. So we do have a lot of blogging opportunities. If you're not sure, what do I write? Where do I post it? That's what we're going to discuss today. You've got some opportunities within CUGC, and we'll talk about that as well.
All right, so also feel free to put questions in the chat as we go along. Like I said, it is a short discussion today, but we do want to see your questions, and if we can't take them today, we'll take them offline. So with that, let's dive into the first thing. So getting started, sometimes it seems like it's pretty daunting, I think, is what I hear from people. Like, they have ideas, they roughly floating around out there that they want to put into a blog post, but they're not really sure what to do. So I think what we'll do, let me look at the camera arrangement on my screen here. Let's start with Theresa. Theresa, what would your advice be for getting started?
Yeah, so I have two tips. So the first one, if you have a background where you're doing a lot of hands-on tech work, I actually I would step back and think about what you're doing for documentation, because it's so easy to turn documentation into a blog just by adding an intro and a conclusion and a little bit more, around the steps. So that in itself is a really easy way to get started. And then the second thing is that if that's not part of your work, then it starts with an idea. So for example, let's take a topic of business continuity and disaster recovery. So when you think about that topic, first you need to understand why you want to talk about it. And explain to the audience what those things are. Then you can dive into it a little bit deeper in the middle, and then you just need to close things out. So I always think intro, body, conclusion, but it just starts with a thought and thinking it through. So I'll go ahead and toss that over to somebody else now, because I'm sure there's a lot of other places we can go with this.
All right, I'm just going to go around my screen. So Esther, you're next.
Yeah, that is what I was worried about, because I have to admit that I did get started writing a blog post, but I double checked my website, and I think my last blog post is in 2017. Right now I'm basically struggling to get like a new blog post up and running, or a new website up and running, and to start blogging again. But somehow it feels a lot of time that I already Googled like the answer to the challenge that I was having, and it felt like someone already wrote a blog about it. So I feel a bit uncomfortable writing up the same stuff basically. So I still need to get or to silence that little voice in my head that keeps saying, oh, there's not a lot of added value in combining all the information that you got and writing up a clear step-by-step instruction on how you solved a challenge. So yeah, I'm basically hoping to get some tips and tricks on this webinar, to be honest.
Okay.
Looking at you, Ray.
Yeah. And now for Ray. Ray, how do you get started? I can't hear him. Oh, you might be muted, Ray, or
Did we mute Ray?
I did not. Here, I'll let him sort that out. Joe, why don't you answer and then we'll come back to Ray.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, go ahead, Ray.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what's going on. Like you said, I shouldn't have updated my firmware. But so like I've been documenting stuff for 15 years probably.
Wow.
And it really started with, for me, I took OneNote and I created basically each category. I had like Microsoft, and then under that I had like Active Directory upgrades, and then VMware upgrades, and then Citrix, and then I broke down. You can do like a grouping in OneNote, and you can group down like storefront upgrades, like UDP audio, and like all the little pieces I broke down. And what I would do is I'd carry that with me from company to company. And then, I don't know, it was probably 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I reached out to Stephanie. I was like, hey, I want to blog on the CUGC. And so I started taking some of my old material and filtering it out with the company's info and what I did, and trying to take all that out and refresh it. But then I said, well, I want a website, but at the time I didn't want to pay what they wanted for your own domain and all the extra stuff. So I just did some research and I started the Google blog site. And it's not the most professional looking. I mean, you can do a lot of things with the HTML code and stuff, but so I started using that to kind of get me up and going, and I just kind of kept it. And so basically the main thing for me is like, I see a lot of blogs out there, right, with good information, but like for me, I like to go into everything, like, you know, an introduction of what it is, how it can solve your issue, you know, how to set it up, not only in a lab environment, but try to do it in a professional enterprise environment where you have all these security rules and you have all these firewalls and you have red tape everywhere. Because anybody can go in a lab and set anything up, you know, next, set it up and it works. But it's really around trying to write the material around how you would implement it if you was at a customer site. So that's what I try to focus on. And sometimes I do see other blogs out there. Like it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I released a blog on WIM, how to set it up with a database availability group, a NetScaler, and a little bit of like an upgrade because I was kind of in a pinch in my lab. But the week prior to that, somebody released one with almost this same information. And I kind of was like, oh man, this sucks. He just released this. But the difference is he kind of went over a high level of it, which will help people. And then I went deep into it and broke it all down because that's how I blog. Does it take me a long time? Yeah, it takes me a long time. It takes me 4 to 5 weeks to do one blog at times because, you know, I like to get very detailed into it, and I do run into issues in my lab with creating my entire security bubble that I do. But the biggest thing for me is tips is like, if you have an idea, if you have something that you found with this in our EUC space or blog about it, write up a summary, throw some screenshots in there, show how you solved it, because I can guarantee you 90% of the time there's somebody else out there that's looking for that material. I mean, every day it happens to me. And I'm looking and I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't know this was out there. Like I had to upgrade a cert on the studio yesterday, and I've done it like 10 times before, but you only do it like once every couple of years. And I'm like, man, I forgot how to do this. I don't have a blog for it, but I found a blog that walked me right through it. I'm like, oh, wow. I was going to do that next, but I was like, well, this guy's already done it. So if I rewrite it, then it's kind of copying it. But then in situations like that, what I do is I usually add extra stuff. So like I'll reference the blog to give them credit. And then I go into a bit more detail about why I'm writing it. And then I'll throw more stuff in there around a little bit more details and then kind of put my own spin on things. That's how I do it.
All right, Joe, you want to jump in?
Okay, hold on, I just
I think Esther was trying to say
Hear me?
something.
I just.
Oh, what's she?
Yeah, I was. Hooray for muting and unmuting yourself all the time. No, I do understand that that's a very powerful thought. And I never looked at it that way, that you can also reference the material that you find and basically reconfirm that their written solution actually is a solution that worked for you as well, making it even more powerful what the first original blogger wrote. So thanks for that, Ray. That
Yeah,
gives me a boost of
it
confidence,
helps.
basically.
It really does help a
Yeah.
lot, because like Carl Webster has, I mean, decades of stuff out there. And I needed to set up some SQL stuff. And I'm not a SQL guy, but I can read a blog and I'm like, hey, this is valuable. I'm going to reference this because I'm sure there's somebody out there that's wears a hat of many trades in our field. They probably have to do that. And it was great material. I needed to get past the SQL part, you know, and so some people, I dump a lot of information, links and stuff, and yeah, you got to go read them, but there's no reason for me to rewrite some of that stuff when they did. And then I'll put my own screenshots in there to show them, okay, I'm really doing this, not just go here, but here's this original link. I'm refreshing it with my material, but here's the real reference.
That makes sense.
That's why I go back to the comment of documentation. Like you just take your documentation, it becomes a resource library for yourself that other people can use too. So
Yeah, I do have to admit, I have a huge OneNote with all the notes of all the step-by-step troubleshooting that I did and what did work and did not work. And And yeah, I guess that's already a great base to start blogging again. So I will share that with the community.
Yeah.
You know, another thing that I do that's really helpful is there'll be something that'll come out like, I don't know, like Citrix browser add-ins or Citrix desktop delay, why you do that. Although people will come out with these little articles to help you, and I'll literally go in my Google Drive and I'll create like Citrix desktop delay service, NetScaler MAS upgrade, NetScaler, not MAS, ADM, NetScaler upgrade, but I'll break it down to each specific category. And I've been doing this for a long, long time. And what happens is when I'm looking like the shell bridge that just came out for Office 365 in the 2019 single sign-on issue, like I have that detailed because I'm going to reference it again. Now, if I just take it and I dump it in my documents and everything's, I'm never going to find it. So I lay out my folders and I lay out my OneNote, and then I take both of those material and I create a blog. It does take dedication, especially when you're working and then you know, but just take one step at a time. Like start out small, you know. It could be something as how to upgrade Citrix workspace across an enterprise environment. You know, I use this PowerShell script from this GitHub. Here's how I did it. Here's the screenshots, and then publish it. And then you can use like LinkedIn, you can use or CUGC, LinkedIn, Twitter, World of EUC to get your information out there. Or you can piggyback off those, or you can go out and buy your own website and maintain it and do that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Anyways,
I'm sorry.
No, sorry, I keep cutting you guys off. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, as I get started writing a blog, I think I do it a little differently, and that is, I have the thoughts in my head, I have notes, and I'm looking at the sheet of paper. And so what I do is I write down my 3 or 4 key items, and then I walk away. And I let it gel in my brain how I want to explain something. And then once it's sorted out in my head, then I come back to it. So I think I follow what you all are saying, and I just tend to, if it's not happening at the moment, walk away. It'll come, but don't.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a very important message, Joe, to let people understand that it's not just one process. You have to find your own flow on how to write your blog posts and what you feel most comfortable with, and not get discouraged. Like you said, if you have like a blockade at some point, just feel free to just lay it to rest for a little bit. Just store it in OneNote or OneDrive or whatever you feel comfortable with, and pick it up at another time where you might be in a different emotional state, where you dive right into the flow and write this really cool article.
Yeah, I found when I have pressure to do it, and it's my own internal pressure, I'll admit it, but I want to get this done tonight before I go to bed. All right, I'm going to finish this blog. Well, that's when it doesn't happen.
Oh yeah, I've had that with scripting, but that usually means 2 a.m. and then I get into the flow, so that's not helpful either. I fully understand what you're talking about.
But I think, Esther, that probably is the same process that Joe is talking about here. You're still kind of thinking about it passively, and then all of a sudden it comes together. I actually, because we were starting foundational here, I was just trying to get the juices flowing. I do similar, Joe. Like, I pick a topic, I noodle on it, I throw a few thoughts down, and then I have to be in my comfy chair. If I'm not in the right chair in my house, it just doesn't come out of me. I could never blog in front of my desk like this right now. It just doesn't work. So others may have similar challenges, right? Where they've tried and tried and tried in front of their computer. I would never write a blog post if I did that here. It don't work for me. And I don't know why, but it doesn't.
I guess for me, I feel like I'm always trying to solve problems. Like most of my career, I've been always trying to solve other people's problems in IT. And then obviously, you know, when you get in the EUC space, it's got its own set of problems with each unique setup. So that's like whatever problem, it depends on how big it is, but I usually start with taking, like, my format is more like, hey, here's a Word doc. I'm going to start jotting down these notes. This is how I did it. This is what I did. And then I'll try to grab some screenshots, because if I don't, because I kind of like, I guess when I was a kid, like I like to pop up the pictures. Remember the pop-up books we had years ago? You open it up and it pops up. It kind of helped me visualize what I'm doing. And because there's times where I'll write it down and I'm like, man, what was I talking about back then? Like, what was I saying? But if I got a picture with it, it's like, oh, that's what I was doing. Oh yeah, I need to finish that. So it's really, I don't have a special format. It's just thrown in a Word doc, and then I organize it based on my folder structure in OneNote. And then I take those and I kind of comb over everything, and then I use lots of Grammarly, because I am not a, I don't, sometimes I'm getting in the heat of the moment, I'm in the tech zone, and my apostrophes and my commas, and I'll spell, and I run through Grammarly like 20 times and let it help me fix everything. And then I give it to Stephanie, and I'm sure she has to fix some stuff.
Just a little. Not a lot.
So we have a new question here. What's your typical blog format? I think in some ways we might have answered that, but do we have some more crisp answers that we could maybe toss out to the audience? It looks like we're down to the last 7 minutes. I think we have.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I'm
more
also
questions,
seeing
so-
a lot of questions from the audience. If there's like a specific format, or if we prefer textual blogs over video blogs, and if there are like rules of engagement for doing that. So I'm just gonna quickly jump ahead and just say, I think whatever works best for you. To get back at my first comment, for me, I realized the textual blogging is not my best way of communicating. So I basically switched a lot to presenting and building content for that. So I am now including a lot of those recorded presentations as videos in my blog post. So I guess that's becoming like a new format that I'm discovering that works for me. So.
Nice.
Yeah. You know, I want to do that too, but the problem is when I do video recordings and go over how I do something, the luck I have, something breaks in my lab, and I'm like,
yeah,
I'm
distracted again.
And then I have to go edit all that and pull all that out, and it's like, man, I can just throw this in a Word doc and then do it my way, and then I guess I get distracted a lot.
Yeah, video is very time consuming. I do admit that. So you do have to have time and availability of editing tools as well.
What I'm gonna do, oh, sorry, go Joe.
One more thing about the blog format. What I try to do is focus on 3 items no more than 3 items in a blog. And because I just find if I have more than 3, it gets way too long. And 3 just seems to be the magic number for me. So I've got the intro, the 3 items, and then a wrap up.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah, I need to take that advice myself, because I'll start out with 50 items and then you
get lost.
Now it's a series. You've got a series going, Ray. All right, what's the next question, Stephanie? What do we have? So how do you set yourself up for success when writing a blog? I think we've all kind of tapped into this already.
That's what I'm taking away from
it. It was great,
Teresa. Yeah, I think you guys have thrown out some stuff for that that's been pretty good. So I'm going to push to this one, because I think this is what probably happens. We talked about a little bit. Joe talked about getting up and walking away and doing something else. So yeah, when you hit this wall, what other ideas do we have?
I'll tell you something else I do. For those of you that don't know, I have horses. So I will walk outside, give my horses a treat, pet my horses, come back in, and I have a totally new frame of mind. So if you have a dog, go pet your dog. Do something that totally gets you out of the zone, and then you'll find you get there faster if you go slower.
That's
Take
true.
a break, take a walk around the block.
That is very true.
Yep. And then give yourself a deadline. So even though you might need the time to sort through an idea, like Joe was talking about, where, you know, she'll think about things for a little bit. When are you going to actually sit down and combine all those ideas on paper? You going to do that in 3 days? Are you going to do that in a week? But give yourself a deadline to sort out those thoughts, and then it'll just come pouring out. You'll be done with the blog probably within a few hours, if you take that approach.
Good advice.
So
Makes sense.
we did have a question that came in. I know, Theresa, you said you might take it. Was someone asking about SEO? And I know we don't have a lot of time, and SEO is a huge topic. but Theresa, if you have a ready, you know, a good quick tip on that, great.
Yeah, SEO is not a quick topic by any means, but so I have 24/7 itconnection.com, and what I find is that Google is the primary search engine for this, and they're changing their metrics frequently. Some simple things I do on my blog: I do pay for Yoast, and I pay for the advanced Yoast because they'll do auto. If like a link goes bad, you can actually just redirect it to like your main site. That's definitely one you might take a hit for. I've actually put my blog in front of, shoot, now I'm going to blank on the name of it, an outside external DNS backend. Paul, we might have to sync up offline. It's made a big difference in the performance of my website, and that also is a big SEO benefit. And then real quick, the other tip, Neil Patel, Neilpatel, he has a free offering. You can pay for his offering as well, but you could start out with the free version, and he'll tell you exactly what's up against the latest and greatest Google stuff that's going on in our current state. Again, it's a moving target, but you just need a Gmail account, and you can run that optimizer against your site and figure out what you may or may not need to fix to help optimize SEO. And then there's this thing with keywords I forgot about. So sorry, it wasn't just one thing. Keywords on each site. So Paul, Stephanie, perhaps Paul and I could sync up offline. Maybe you could do an email intro because it's a very meaty topic.
Yeah, of course. And I'll try to get all the things that you mentioned from you, and I can include it with the email that goes out after this with the recording.
Yeah, or we need to reschedule for a next webinar that focuses on SEO.
Round 2.
Round 2.
Love it.
All right, so really quickly, I'm throwing my email address in the chat. If you are interested in blogging for CUGC, I'm happy to help you out. So just email me directly, and we'll get you started. And then just final thoughts, like lightning round final thoughts. I'll start with Joe.
Just do it, but don't force it.
All right, Theresa.
If you want to blog, if you want to start a website, just go for it. I mean, truthfully, in the beginning, you don't have an audience anyways. So it's a great time to make mistakes and learn, and then get your stuff out on social when you're ready.
Esther?
Well, I'm just going to say, if you want some mentoring or some sponsoring or tutoring or cheerleading while you get started blogging, sign up for the mentorship program. Don't worry, you don't need like a sex change if you're not a woman. We might even open up for the men as well, because I think getting your knowledge and experience out to the community is a huge topic, and we can definitely use more bloggers and more enthusiastic people. So happy to sponsor you, happy to mentor you on that. That's all I wanted to say.
All right, Ray, final thought?
I mean, I agree with everything you guys said. My biggest thing for me was I was scared. I was just nervous about what people would think if I had wrong information and then eventually I got over that. I'm like, you know what? This is what I did. This is what worked. I'm going to share it. So just share it. I mean, it helps. Believe it or not, it's going to help somebody.
Yeah, and you can always ask Ray to review your first blog post or any of us, and then we'd be happy to let you know and to get that fear out of your system.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm the same way with webinars still, but you know, it's going to take me some time.
Well, you did great today, so happy to carry you on with that one too, Ray.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I'm so glad that you could be here today, and I'm really glad that we had all of our lead, our founding women in tech mentors, and our awesome blogger Ray, and just glad that you guys could participate and be here. Lots of great information. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and if
Awesome.
you need any more topics that you want to have webinars on or focus on, let us know. We'd be happy to work out a nice schedule or a whole series, as Theresa already suggested with Stephanie.
Thanks
All
for
right.
inviting me, guys. It was fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you could be here. Thanks. All right, everyone, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and definitely reach out, and I'll be sending around an email after the recording is done and give you a link to that, and also any additional tips and resources that came up today. So I'll get that compiled for you. And with that, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks so much for being here. Bye.
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 Bye-bye.